Hey everybody, welcome to the No Pants Podcast, episode 004 with my friend Matt Germeyer. Matt is a software developer. He is a musician. He's a former paramedic with the city of Austin. He's also the former lead guitarist of the Warplanes, a blues, soul, rock and roll outfit that I play bass for here in town. Matt is just a great guy, really cool talking to him anytime I can. He's been one of my friends, maybe one of my longest friends since I moved to Austin here. So, really cool guy. I think you'll like what he has to say. Maybe some of what I have to say. We cover a lot of topics here. Lasts for about an hour and a half. So yeah, buckle up. Without further ado, enjoy. Matt Germeyer, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
Good.
Thanks for having me.
We don't have any sketch artists in here today. We haven't banned any cameras, so there's no need to have a sketch artist sketching the podcast. I think it'd be a good idea if we did have a sketch artist in here, though. Like sit over in the corner of the kitchen and just kind of look at us.
I think that'd be fantastic.
Yeah. Just I think mostly he would get you would be the pointer, because usually in a courtroom there's a pointer. There's somebody that's always pointing, but they're pointing like up. It's like doing this right here, like off into the like they're just pointing this way. Like the witness is pointing this way. There's no reason for the witness to be pointing off that, but there usually are, to show that like they're a person, that's being like animated.
Some kind of state of pensive confusion, or they're thinking about their answer really carefully. Like,
yeah. Like they're very serious. But that's the state that we find our White House in today.
Our White House press briefings.
There's no
recordings of the most important briefings.
Really, really making America great.
Yeah, it's a good start to making America great again.
I think, Donald was probably like, what's a good step? What's a good step towards making America great? I really think we should ban cameras from
Let's not record things that should be recorded.
Yeah.
Speaking, did I tell you about my recent possible? You mentioned courtroom. Did I tell you I got subpoenaed?
Did you really?
Yeah, I got subpoenaed for a trial recently.
Did they have to serve you?
Yeah, I was served over the phone, actually.
Would you like some Tito's?
Yeah.
Yeah. Old Tito's and LaCroix. The LaCroix's flowing tonight.
Yeah, definitely.
Because we're party animals.
Yeah.
Lime, LaCroix, the mixer of the distinguished gentleman.
So I didn't tell you about the subpoena thing at all?
No.
Yeah, so I thought I had gotten I had a voicemail, and I hate listening to voicemail because it's fucking 2017. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was from Big Brothers Big Sisters. Yeah. So I just called it back directly, and I came to find that it was a court aide or something.
Oh.
And this older gentleman answered the phone with kind of a country twang and said, is this Mr. Germeyer? And he was definitely like of age.
Yeah.
And I affirmed that it was me, and then he served me over the phone.
Whoa.
Informing me that I might be required to testify in a trial.
Okay.
And pretty quickly I had a feeling what it was. Well, and so this kind of goes back to my days of working as a paramedic or whatever.
Oh, no.
And yeah, I was like, oh, man. There's only like a handful of things this could be. And so he's like, yeah, it's just like it was a murder trial.
Oh, my God.
Like,
okay.
Oh, fuck.
Shh. Well, you don't have to say who. Just say
definitely
it's
don't know
definitely
the name
not
of this
disclosing
person.
Names. Yeah. Well, you just be vague. That's all you got to say. That's all you got to say.
Well, immediately I was incredibly pissed off because so I've been in the middle of this computer programming boot camp thing, and we were at the tail end of it with 3 weeks to work on this major project, and this is like a week into it. So they were like, yeah, the date we would probably need you is like right in the middle of the whole thing that you're going to be finishing and presenting.
Yeah,
I'm like, man, that's really fucking great, isn't it?
Can you just say no? Like, that's not going to work for me.
Well, that's kind of what I did say when I actually spoke. So this guy's like a court guy. He's not like, this isn't a lawyer or something. This is
Right.
like a paralegal or something.
Right.
So I'm trying to be nice to this cat. He's clearly like an older gentleman. He's just doing his job or whatever. But man, the timing of this was just absolutely terrible, right?
Yeah, that's not.
Like,
that's not.
Man, this pulls me back into my previous life very quickly. So that was interesting.
Oh my, yeah. I can't. I'm not gonna be able to make it. I'm fishing in Yemen right now.
And I don't know enough about law to know like what kind of excuses am I able to give here? And
any excuse.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think they're gonna really be okay with these, So I talked to my friend Alex, who's a lawyer, and he was just like, "Yeah, just tell me you don't remember anything." I was like, "I already did. I don't remember shit anyway. I don't remember yesterday."
I don't remember what I had for lunch yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, "This was how many years ago?"
Yeah. That's not even.
It was a long ass fucking time ago.
Plus, they gotta like prep you. Don't they have to? I've seen The People versus O.J. Simpson. I know how it goes.
Yeah, there's prep.
There's prep.
There's definitely prep.
That's weird. You gotta.
Yeah,
they rehearse witnesses. That's odd.
Yeah.
I always thought that was weird.
Anyway, it was an odd interaction. Have you seen that OJ show?
Oh, absolutely.
Man, it's really good, isn't it?
Man, Marcia Clark, you go, girl. You know.
Yeah.
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 They had that one episode where they were talking, where it was just talking about how, basically showing how like fucking sexist a lot of those, And I'm like, damn, dude, that's gotta suck to be like first of all, you have the most difficult case, like definitely the most publicized American trial in like the near, and then on top of that, you got like
people just giving you shit because
like,
you're a woman.
I don't like your hair. What did you do with your hair?
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
You come off kind of like a bitch.
Yeah, it's like, I think I'm just being a prosecutor.
I think I'm just being a lawyer.
I think I'm just being, and I kick-ass wanted that. She was fucking awesome. But like, that was crazy, man. Dude, that was insane. A bunch of people were just like, nah, it doesn't matter if he killed somebody because he's black and he's a victim. Like, whoa. I don't, some fuckery, man.
Yeah, they did a good job putting that in context, though. I think with just kind of the culture of California in the 90s with the riots, like that's actually the first thing they show. I think is the riots and stuff, and just it's a different age.
Yeah, that was weird.
That was a complicated time.
I was old enough to watch that trial. I was like 10, and I was watching the trial, and I was like, man, Johnny Cochran is a fucking douchebag.
I remember the basketball game getting interrupted, watching the Rockets, and then cutting the car chase.
June 14th?
And I don't know. That's very specific.
30 for 30, June 14th. I think so.
I just remember the game getting interrupted and me yelling as a child, yelling at the television repeatedly. I was really upset about it, and it was to watch, a car chase, which I thought was really odd.
June 17th, 1994. It was like Arnold Palmer's last U.S. Open. It was the NBA Finals, which the Rockets were on.
Yes.
It was the Rockets and what? The Knicks?
Yeah.
Because it was 94.
Yeah, it was the Knicks.
And
it was deep in the series, too.
The World Cup. Yeah. It was deep in the series. It's balls deep. You're like talking about, what was that, game 4, game 5?
I have no idea.
I don't know either.
I have no idea, but it was like in the third quarter or something, like deep into the game. And I was like, this is not an appropriate time to be cutting away to watch a car on the highway, going really slow. It's not like he was like freaking speeding,
Yeah.
And as a child, you don't really understand the cultural impact of
the LAPD chased O.J. Simpson on June 17th, 1994. The same day, a number of unrelated sports occurrences took place.
Sports occurrences.
Well, the way they shoot this, have you seen this episode of 30 for 30?
I haven't.
Oh, it's amazing. And they shoot it, basically they use, you're familiar with the documentary series though, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, they use the raw footage. So basically there's no narration in this episode. It's just, I think it's some official footage and some mostly raw footage, like raw feeds of all the news, like the news channels carrying all of those events, and they splice it in a way where you're just like, oh, fuck, I remember this day. Like, very, very well.
Nice.
That was crazy, man. Dude, he tried to run, and we were still just like, nah, man, you're innocent. like you tried to run. Like, he was like, I can't do it. And, like, the jury was still like, I think we should acquit him. Because, like I don't.
Hey, man, I was crazy, man. I didn't know what I was going to do, man. I just panicked.
Man. It was really, it was really weird seeing Cuba getting Junior as OJ. It was pretty good, but it was still kind of weird seeing his face as OJ Simpson.
Yeah, he did a good job. He did a really good job. I love that, you know, he holds it together, but then he starts to kind of like crack at the seams, and you can see the complete like mania behind him, and you're like, whoa, this dude's pretty twisted.
And
and the anger.
I always thought it was weird he had a statue of himself in his backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a bronze.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Big bronze thing.
Could you imagine a point in your life where
that'd be dope to be at that level?
You were so proficient at one thing that you decided it was like a good idea to put a statue of yourself.
I wonder how that day looks when you're like, today's the day.
Yeah.
That it's okay for me to have a bronze buff of myself in my backyard. Bust.
I wonder, like, in the elite rich asshole world, if like there's stages, like you can put a statue in your backyard, but like a bust is like a whole other level. Like, you got to be like presidential level to think that you're good enough for an actual bust, like made of ivory or something.
I hope we could just keep talking about busts.
Busts. Just is that where the term busty came from? A woman is busty.
I mean, I don't know, honestly, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
I think bust comes from like the measurement, but that's something you might Google.
Yeah. Where?
I think bust comes from like the measuring of the rack.
The rack area, chestular area.
The rack region.
The rack region. Man, I'm really glad I've never hit on a woman and just was like, excuse me, I think your rack region.
You have a tremendous bust.
You have a tremendous bust. Excuse me, you're very busty. And I would like to buy you a drink. Like, I wonder if that's ever worked.
Yeah, I've never tried anything even remotely approaching that.
No, I haven't either.
I have no game whatsoever.
You know, I think all of my encounters with women have come because I've texted them first.
I think most of mine have come either by complete accident or they approached me.
Yeah, there you go.
I can't say that I've ever hit on anybody at a bar.
Yeah.
On purpose.
Yeah, we're not exactly Navy SEALs, you know.
Definitely not Navy SEAL.
I mean, I got my game with the ladies, but I'm not exactly.
I have a different kind of game.
Yeah,
I think
I like to use my cunning wit, and it's usually, you know, it's not. It doesn't like translate well over Tinder, you know.
Oh, definitely. I definitely don't have much. I think I have a decent like texting wit, maybe. Like, I might be a interesting person to converse with on a text basis.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely not into hitting on random ass people at a bar.
Yeah.
I don't know how people like ever met people like that.
Yeah, I can't do it.
Never have done. I would not have procreated if that were the case.
I could do it. I've had moderate success with, like, you're at a table at a bar, right? Like, a lot of places around here, you have patios and there's tables out back, right? And somebody just comes and sits down, and maybe you've already got a conversation going at the table, and you're in the middle of a joke, and then you parlay that joke into introducing yourself. You're like, hey, how's it going? But it's got to be really casual, like organic. Like, I can't walk. Yeah. I don't think I'd have ever walked up and been like,
approached a group of 3 women and been like, hey,
can I buy you a drink? I don't know, man. I've always just thought of that as being really fucking weird.
Yeah, I can't imagine responding to that well as a woman, or even, I mean, shit. If you, me, and 2 other dudes were hanging out and some chick walked up to me and said, can I get you a drink? I'd be like, that'd be wonderful. Yeah. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
But from their perspective, I can't imagine they would really enjoy that.
I don't know.
That would be difficult.
Yeah.
I would think.
I think there's a way. A lot of women have told me there's a way to do it, you know, without it. You know, obviously you could do it without being a douche. It's just like your risk of looking like a douche seems to be a lot higher when you do that.
Yeah, and the uncomfort level for not just you, the guy, but for the target.
Yeah,
and the audience.
Yeah.
You know, can you imagine the audience's discomfort? And that just kind of adds to
the audience. Yeah.
Because, man, that's awkward as fuck.
Yeah.
You think, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
So anyway, that hasn't been my style. I feel lucky that I've had any sort of success with women whatsoever with my limited confidence in going after them.
Yeah. John Mulaney, you've been with maybe 8 cows, maximum, milked half of them. Why buy the cow if you could have the milk for free? Well, first of all, that saying doesn't even make any sense. I'm seeing him.
I love John Mulaney.
I'm seeing him in October. Pretty excited about that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I thought I was missed out, and then my girlfriend is a concierge, so she's like, "Hey, I just got you tickets." I'm like, "How did you do that?" She's like, "I'm a concierge." I was like, "That's not an answer. You can't just leave it at that." And she's like, "Yes, I can." I was like, "Okay, well, okay, I'm not gonna know." She explained it, but
so she went online and bought tickets.
StubHub,
yeah, nice.
Yeah, StubHub.
Have you seen both of his specials?
Absolutely.
He's excellent.
He's written for Saturday Night Live.
Yep.
A lot of people are not aware that a lot of the writing from Saturday Night Live comes from John Mulaney. Though a lot of the writing for Conan O'Brien, especially his Tonight Show on NBC days, because he was mainly working for NBC, comes from John Mulaney.
Yeah.
And that's why his specials are like his economy of words is like fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
So like there's never a wasted word with his delivery, like his jokes, his storytelling, like he never has an or a buh. Like if you notice with his specials, especially, he just doesn't waste time
tight
at all. It's just tight. It's very much like an old schooly showman kind of deal, but it's not like dusty. It's like,
oh yeah,
coming from a guy that is early mid 30s. I don't know how old he is, but he's definitely not too much older than us. But he looks younger than us, though. He looks
like a little boy.
Yeah.
In fact, I think he talks about that quite a bit.
I think he does too. He's pretty self-depreciatory.
I think the first special was absolutely fantastic. I love the whole homeless guy bit is so good. I sit down and make people watch that on a regular basis. It's so funny.
What's the line that the old chick says? The homeless chick's like, "Suck a dick, eat ass, and sell drugs."
The one I was thinking about was also a homeless man, and he. I'm gonna ruin it. I'm not gonna try and recite this joke, but it's something along the lines of, "I am gay, homeless." I guess the punchline is, I'm homeless, and it gets worse.
It's like
it gets worse. He's so good.
He's like, did he rehearse that before he went out on the street?
Yeah, what kind of reaction did he think he was going to get with that?
The homeless people here don't have that kind of delivery, and I kind of wish they did.
It's too hot out there, and they're too... Yeah.
We're not New York.
No.
Also, a lot of them are just panhandlers. They're not really like truly homeless people. I feel like the homeless are hanging out at the arch, and the panhandlers are hitting the street. And then
something like that, yeah.
Kind of. I don't know. Well, you have had more experience with that than I have by far.
I have had a tremendous amount of interaction with homeless of all kinds.
Did you talk to a lot of panhandlers as well? Like the guys that are walking around making like hundreds of dollars and the street corner thing? Did you ever, or was it mostly legit homeless people?
Honestly, most of it was with like what you're calling like a true homeless person, but I have had many interactions with, there's a guy on Runberg in North Lamar that sits out there with a chair and does a pretty legit workout. Have you ever witnessed the guy that I'm talking about?
No.
So he's a very athletic black guy, and he is doing a serious workout, like constantly. He just has a chair, and he's doing like just body weight exercises, and he doesn't look like he's homeless. He just looks like he's a dude out there working out. Yeah. And I've drove by that guy hundreds and hundreds of times. I mean, it was like a regular, wave at the guy, right? Sort of interaction. But yeah, I definitely much more. There's definitely a difference between a panhandler and a homeless person. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's a lot of them. Obviously there's a lot of legit homeless people. There's also a lot of people that are like, oh, you're just going to drive away in a Fiat. Like you have a Fiat parked 5 blocks away. How much money do you make a day, dude?
Yeah, I find that the panhandlers have like what looks like a nice kind of bronzy tan.
Yeah.
And a true homeless person looks like they're made of alligator skin.
Yeah.
There's a pretty big difference.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, you had enough street time to like kind of start discerning.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long were you a paramedic for?
I worked for the city for 3 years.
Yeah.
And then I went to one ER for a year and then another ER for a year.
Yeah.
But those two different ERs were very different. Like one was like homeless central and the other was in Westlake, which is like a totally different ball game. Yeah. You're playing with different kinds of fires there.
Mostly blue flames. It's a lot of
everything at Westlake was
had a plasticky smell to it. Yeah. Typically.
Very clean cut sort of thing.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, there's lots of good people watching in that industry for sure.
You've told me some stories, though.
I have seen some interesting and funny things.
Yeah. You've told me stories that have made me laugh really hard, and then also some that have made me think about my own mortality for a week straight.
Really?
And we don't have to repeat them on the air, but like, man.
The stuff I remember most is just kind of the uncanny, like, what the fuck was that? Sort of stuff. Like, how do you even make that make sense? And it's just kind of like the crazy shit that physics can do with, like folding a car or like, how the hell did that end up like that? I mean, think about it. Like if you saw a crazy car wreck on YouTube, but you only saw like the last 2 seconds of it and you couldn't really rewind it and see like how that situation occurred.
Yeah.
And just seeing things after the fact, you're like, whoa, where did this? Like, there's no way to like rewind it. You can't like, it's not a YouTube video. You just see the remnants of what's happened or whatever.
I think if you're a first responder, I haven't talked to many first responders, if any, that are like, yeah, it's okay if you don't wear a seatbelt. You know what I'm saying? Because
absolutely.
Like if you're a first responder and you talk to them and you're in a car with one, especially, they're like, hey, put your fucking seatbelt on.
Yeah, definitely. I will definitely agree with this.
And you don't want to ask why, because they can tell you why, because they've seen it,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a big one. And motorcycles. I'll probably never, I won't ever own a motorcycle. I understand like the thrill of it and stuff. But having seen what kind of risk you put yourself in.
Man. Nah.
I'm just like,
Nah, dude. Nah. Just like, give me...
And
I want to drive inside of an airbag. Like, I want you to... If you could actually just make the interior out of a pillow...
Yeah, exactly. Like those big inflatable sort of soccer balls that people put themselves in recreationally and they just like bounce around things. That's kind of what I'm aiming for, as opposed to a motorcycle, which is basically just like you might as well just ride a rocket, like an Acme rocket.
Yeah. Volvo should hire you to just go around and tell your motorcycle horror stories, and stock in Volvo would just skyrocket. Like, like go to colleges where kids are like, thinking about getting a motorcycle. When they're in that like dumb phase when they're, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And you sit and like they put you on a stage and it's kind of like an interrogation room. You're just sitting there with a glass of water, pitcher. You've got like one light above you, and like maybe you're smoking cigarettes for effect, fake cigarettes, and you're just sitting there, arms crossed, and the room goes dark, and the one light above your table illuminates, and you're just like, you just stare at the crowd for like a solid 10 seconds. You're like, June 7th, 2014. I approach the intersection. It's just like you just go off, and then for like 2 hours, and then like they bring the lights off, and all of the kids have just shit their pants because it's very possible, Like seriously, some of the stuff you told me is very possible. Because man, just never a motorcycle.
I just don't want my primary means of transport. I don't want the outcome, the safe transport of myself from point A to point B to be almost entirely, I don't want the outcome to be based on what everybody else does. Because usually if you're on a motorcycle, if you're going to get messed up on a motorcycle, it's almost, yes, it could be your fault, but you're oftentimes subject to the mistakes of other people.
Yeah.
And the thing is that if you're in a car, a small mistake doesn't really mean anything. On a motorcycle, any mistake could mean lots of terrible outcomes.
Yeah.
The other thing too is the equipment involved in riding a motorcycle safely involves like thick leather, which is hot. And if you don't wear the leather, you're subject to like incredible amounts of pain should you even tip the bike over, you know what I mean?
Right.
And that just sounds like a terrible set of outcomes.
Yeah, the hot
I'd rather not bake in hot leather and sweat balls.
Just to go to the grocery store.
Just to get from point A to point B.
Like, hey, I'm going to the grocery store. Let me put on my leather suit so I look like the singer of Fuel.
Yeah.
And about to go seeing hemorrhage in my hands just to go to the grocery store. No, thank you.
Yeah, I'll pass.
I've always been scared of the outside of a motorcycle is very hot. Like it's I've always felt like at some point I'd touch the
muffler
and just
your naked
fillet my
calf.
skin. Yeah, and I'm just like, nah, man,
That sounds pleasant.
I don't want to saute myself just because like I hit it wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I don't know. I think we're pragmatists, man. We're not meant for motorcycles.
Definitely not.
Motorcycles are meant for the journeyman,
Yeah.
the highwaymen, the easy riders, the Dennis Hoppers, the James Hetfields.
Maybe we're just both gigantic pussies.
That too.
That's possible.
I ask myself that daily.
Yeah, I think to a certain extent that's a good thing. That's a healthy. Being a little bit of a pussy is a healthy thing to a certain extent.
Yeah, it takes one to know one. Yeah,
dude.
That's how I rationalize it.
Speaking of pussy, I watched Wonder Woman yesterday.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Yeah,
have you seen it?
I haven't. No,
I thought it was excellent.
Yeah.
Actually,
she's not a pussy at all.
No, she's a badass. In fact, I think that was one of the better superhero movies I've seen ever. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. Great film.
Yeah.
And I don't know the actress's name, but man, she was a badass. Great actress. Wonderful to look at. And great leading lady, I thought.
Wonder Woman. Is it her?
Gal Gadot.
Diana Prince. Gal Gadot. So how do you say that name?
She must be French. I would say Gadot.
Gadot.
But maybe we're whatever. Who knows?
Gadot.
Israeli.
Gal Gadot.
No wonder.
Yeah, she looks like an assassin.
She's stunning.
Yeah, beautiful, man.
Yeah. Great movie. Great movie, really. There's a reason it's got like a 90-something on Rotten Tomatoes. It's
really
pretty unbelievable for a superhero movie.
I guess I should go see that this weekend.
Not to mention Robin Wright was also great.
Oh, yeah, man. She should be in more shit.
She's good.
She's so tied up with House of Cards, but she should be in more stuff, man.
Yeah, she's wonderful.
She's really good.
Sean Penn's better half. Is that right? She's married to Sean Penn, yeah.
She was.
Oh, my bad.
For a while.
Might be.
Let's check this out.
Let's get into the celebrity
Wiki.
Marriage status.
Wikipedia. First it was Forrest Gump, then it was Sean Penn.
She's lovely as well.
Yeah, she's great, man. Dane Witherspoon. I thought that said Diane Witherspoon. I was like, oh, okay. Right on.
She took a switch.
Not judging, but I didn't know that. Let's see here. Whoa, Ben Foster.
Oh, I knew that.
Oh.
I knew that at one point. Ben
They're
Foster
ending their second. She was engaged to Ben Foster twice.
Damn.
Okay, that's weird. Didn't know that. Ben Foster's kind of a badass.
She's also a pragmatist, though. They didn't want to rush into something. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Seems smart.
Not cool. I wonder if she's as pragmatic as Claire Underwood. I wonder if she's like. It'd be really funny if she was
really
like more
just
emotional.
A picture of her.
Yeah.
Her character.
She's just like, okay, we're gonna be yourself, but cut your hair. That'd be crazy. I think I'd be mortified of being scared to Claire Underwood.
That would be difficult. That'd be a challenging situation.
Yeah, being married to Claire Underwood, that'd be crazy.
Yeah.
Be just like, listen, I'm gonna go to bed. If you could like not murder me in my sleep, that'd be fantastic. I love you. There's leftovers in the fridge. Like, just don't kill me while I'm sleeping. It'd be awesome. Ruthless, man.
Yeah.
I kind of wish, House of Cards is a little bit like competency porn.
Excuse me?
It's like competency porn. Like they're super overcompetent. Like they're very competent. It's like what we wish our politicians were.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know what I'm saying? In a way,
Yes.
they're very ruthless and cold. Obviously, you don't want like a ruthless
But they're
dictator.
making decisions based in like logic, even though it's kind of dark and twisted.
Even though it's self-serving logic, it still makes sense in a lot of
Right.
way. And you're just like, oh, okay, well, you're
Right.
smart people making smart decisions, which
Right.
is pretty cool.
They're not just undoing things that the
Yeah.
previous president did
Yeah.
just to undo them.
Yeah. Now, I haven't seen the latest season of House of Cards, so don't worry, babies. I won't spoil you. But I kind of wish we had a president that was like who the Republican guy was in season, 4 or 5? I think it was season 4. The guy that was introduced, started running against Frank Underwood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish we had him for president. I wish he was like legitimately our president.
I wish this character from a dark, dramatic series was our
Yeah,
actual
I mean, if
president.
it was between him or
And-
like Dickface McTrump, like
Yeah.
I would, he seemed like a modern JFK, except like he knew how to use Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's just because he knows how to properly use Twitter in the show. Like, oh, this guy knows how to properly use social media. This is great. This is actually, I think that's primarily it. It's like,
I don't know that the president needs to be all that in touch with social media.
I think he
honestly.
should. I think he should.
I think it's a viable option, but I don't think it's a requisite to.
No, definitely not a requisite to like being able to execute the duties of the office.
Clearly not. Yeah.
But it is an indicator that like he knows how
Has
to
some
read
kind
the
of
room.
touch with, yeah.
Right. So like you kind of, and that plays into like being a statesman. Like we like our president right now, he has no idea how to do that. Like you just can tell like he's not even really that good of a businessman. He's like kind of a mediocre one.
Right.
And like you can tell that because he brags about his money a lot. And like
Yeah.
I don't know how people just chose to ignore that, but like he brags about his money. Like he brags that he's like, I'm so rich.
Yeah.
It's like, hey man, like legit dudes don't do that. It's like if you're the guy in the locker room in junior high and you're like, man, I got pubes, bro. I got so many pubes, or like I have such a big dick. It's like, hey man, you're not supposed to like say that you.
Right.
You know?
It's like the rich kid in elementary school that somehow thinks that they're responsible for the money that they have.
Right.
Which is exactly what he is.
Yeah, he was given a,
Yeah.
kind of all.
Everything that he actually did for himself, like the Trump stakes and the fucking golf courses and stuff. It's like everything that he's actually managed, he's run into the ground. It's pretty sick.
Dude, did you hear that he rides his golf cart on the green? So like this is unforgivable. Like let's look this up here. Trump rides golf cart.
I did hear that on the golf course when there were
Onto
leaders
green.
of like 6 different major nations, that he showed up late,
Yeah.
and B demanded to drive around the golf course because he was tired.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
As the other leaders of major nations.
Sure. Yeah.
walk.
He's a pussy. Like he's a huge pussy. Like Donald Trump is objectively a pussy. Yeah. Check it out. Video shows President Donald Trump driving golf cart on green. Okay. Yeah.
Oh my God,
now,
he's
first of all,
straight up on the green.
yeah, he is on the fucking green, which I don't give a shit if you own that course, which he absolutely owns this course. Let's be real here. He owns the fucking course that he's playing on. But like, fuck you, man. Like, you should maybe have some respect for the golf course and like maybe the game itself. Like, because you don't do that.
Yeah.
I've played with some assholes. Like some straight up assholes, like have slammed 20 beers on the golf course, flicking
yeah.
down cigarettes, not repairing their divots, because like they just pair you up with people sometimes if you're on a public course and it's busy.
Sure.
And they didn't even like drive on. You don't drive on the green, man. It's like dating your ex's girlfriend, like you just, or your friend's like ex, like you just don't do it. Like you don't drive on the green. And out of everything he's done some of the craziest shit you can imagine a president can do in the last 3 months, 4 months, whatever.
But he also drove on the
But he drove on the green, and I'm like, oh, no, man.
Yeah, I've played golf maybe probably less than 10 times in my life, and I think there's signs everywhere that say, don't, like, stop driving the carts at this point.
That's fucked up,
And he's straight up, like...
He is on...
He's not even, like, taking an oblique sort of angle. He's going straight through.
This is 4 weeks before the Women's U.S. Open is supposed to play on this course, too. No fucks given, dude. And it's kind of amazing. It's kind of amazing.
He is ridiculous.
How stupid he is. Like, it's crazy. Endless entertainment, dude.
I think that the tweets is the thing that drives me over the edge the most. Like, tweeting about Comey better hope there's no tapes of this, which is like, that's a veiled threat.
Yeah.
You know, first of all, which is intimidation. He's trying to intimidate a former federal employee that led an investigation against him, who he fired.
Yeah.
And then chooses to tweet to his presumably millions of followers. I have no idea how many followers Trump has because I don't follow him.
I do. It's amazing.
I can't do that.
Oh, I can't. Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I still read them because
they
show up everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Because the retweets is really what I'm interested in,
right?
Right. It's just amazing that you could take to that kind of medium to intimidate people, or presumably attempt to intimidate people.
Yeah.
Which constitutes, I don't know how much, like, law we want to get into, but that has to constitute, at least in some viewings, that constitutes intimidating a witness.
Right. Well, he's objectively a bully. And what is a bully, right? A bully is someone that uses their influence or power as kind of a battering ram to kind of further their wants and needs and objectives because they don't have the means to meet people eye to eye, right? So if you're a bully in a social situation, you basically make fun of people, right? Or sometimes you physically intimidate people to get what you want. But he's trying to just basically bully people, right? He tries to do that a lot, and he uses his money to do that, right? And so because you can tell that he's got no sense of kind of like intelligence or anything under the hood. So there's not a lot under the hood there. But, and so everything he has is kind of just like on his sleeve. It's just his money. And now, unfortunately, his power and stuff like that. So absolutely, he's going to try to like bully people. And because it's kind of what he is. It's kind of how there's a lot of guys kind of like him around, that are just kind of like they've got a one up in life. And so they kind of use that to their advantage and just kind of knock people around. And they don't have a lot of regard for others. So
or any like iota of humility whatsoever.
Right.
Just a lot of money.
Right.
Yeah.
No, just no dignity, man.
Unfortunate, isn't it?
It's just kind of hilarious, dude. I think it's kind of like it doesn't surprise me that this is happening in a way, because it's not like American discourse has tried to get on any sort of track of sanity or sobriety recently. It's all been, just
polarized,
just dumpster fires for years, and now we're actually seeing it come true, and it's kind of seeing the like fruits of our labor, so to speak. And so I think if you're paying attention, it doesn't really surprise you a whole lot.
I hope that's one thing that comes from this, is that people pay a little more attention to
just a little bit. Just maybe it's a little bit.
This is what happens when you don't pay attention.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I've been following the news much more closely in the last, basically since Trump.
Right.
Just because there's so much shit going on, and the way the Republicans have hidden this healthcare bill and are going to try and push it through as quickly as they possibly can, essentially in secret, is pretty fucking scary. Especially given, how many people, basically the fact that it's a tax cut for the rich, wrapped up in a let's undo everything Obama did, which it really is just a way to save money for the rich. Man. It's like a reverse Robin Hood sort of thing.
I can say right now that I have health coverage because of the Affordable Care Act. So I have the ability, I have a doctor's appointment booked right now because I have coverage that I'm able to afford because of the Affordable Care Act. So what are we trying to repeal exactly? And I've talked to people in my life that I've told this to, and they're just like, okay, so that's like, but I'm a person like in front of you that helped me. So
yep.
What's the problem here? You know,
the biggest irony I think is that the people that are most for it, who are kind of the like head in the sand Republican types, those are the people that are losing their coverage.
Yeah, that's really weird.
And they're basically, the argument is, well, Obama did this, so therefore it's wrong. So let's undo it. Yeah. Even though that kind of shoots ourselves. It's like cut your nose to spite your face kind of thing. Yeah. There's no logic.
It's the toxicity of hyperpartisanship, where nothing is viewed on its own terms. And I'll give you another example. Trump proposed recently to privatize the air traffic control system in the United States. Here's the thing, though, is if you view that policy for what it's worth, some countries have already done that, and you know it's not that bad of an idea when you view it on its own merit. Now, because Trump came up with it, automatically there's going to be a lot of people that are like, well, fuck that shit. Trump came up with it. It must be a horrible idea. Not necessarily, right? So people are doing that in the same way with healthcare, where they're just like, well, Obama came up with this whole system. Fuck that guy.
Yeah. Let's
just overturn it. It's like, man, view stuff on its own terms, you know, view ideas for what they're worth. But we don't have an infrastructure for discourse in this society that's based on the meritocracy of ideas. It's the validity of your ideology versus my ideology. And it's dogma versus dogma instead of let's put ideas on the table and choose from these ideas on the table and pick one idea up and study it. And you tell me what you think about this idea, and I'll tell you what you think about this idea. And at the end of the day, let's just have the best idea win. And it's not that. So it's not that at all. It's, I believe this, and you're from the other side of the trench and you believe this. And since you believe that, then you're morally wrong. Like you're an immoral person, right? And they'll think the same of you. And so there's no landscape available for us to examine things on a larger level and just in a meritocracy, you know, because at the end of the day, conservatives are going to worry about like abortion rights, and then the liberals are going to worry about identity politics. And that's not doing shit for anyone, right? This is just all bullshit phenomena that just don't really have any bearings in the real world at all. Roe v. Wade's not going to be overturned at any point, you know. And identity politics are this is like sort of self-serving set of ideals that don't really do much in the real world. And what I mean by that is most of the time you're not talking to somebody that's a racist, usually. Now, hold on. Okay. Let me unpack this for a second, because a lot of people are going to be like, what?
Buckle up, everybody.
Buckle up. I'm on a tangent. So there are racist assholes. And let's just take racism, right? There are a lot of racist assholes in the world. Let's just put that out right now. And let's admit that there are a lot of racist assholes.
Yes.
Yes, there are, right? But most of the time when you interact with people on a daily basis, you're not like talking to an open, like you don't deal with a lot of like KKK members, right? You're not talking to people that are just like,
I personally don't.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah.
Also, I'm not black, so maybe I'm not the best like
I don't
commenter
think they
on
interact
race.
with all that many KKK members either. I would hope
at all. Yeah, I don't either.
Hopefully not here.
Okay, let me rephrase this.
Have you seen Mississippi Burning?
What? No.
What? You haven't seen that movie?
I haven't. Hold on. Let me go back to this, because I feel like there's a lot of people that are like, wait, you need to finish your point.
Yeah,
because I feel like I sound like an asshole right now. I'm not trying to be an asshole. What I'm saying is a lot of the time, I'm like digging myself older. What I mean by like identity politics is self-serving is a lot of the times you have people that are like very liberal leaning, looking to hit some sort of quota of diversity for different fields. And they're like, well, why aren't there enough of this demographic in this one field. Like, why aren't there any female, like African American females in like craft beer brewing, and stuff like that. And it's never just because like maybe there are a lot of black chicks aren't into brewing craft beer. It's always like, oh well, there's an imbalance in the system, and we have to correct that to fill the quota, right? So, and so we're stuck talking about these like self-serving, like what? So what would be the point of that? Like, why can't people just be into what they're into?
Who's keeping these quotas that you're talking about?
I saw a blog post once that was just like, why isn't there any?
Are we going to talk about blog posts?
No, no, we can. I'm just saying.
Which kind of blogs?
No. The quotas, like people keep like these arbitrary quotas, like, there's not enough. This thing isn't diverse enough. Well, this field isn't diverse enough. Like, sure, man. Like, okay, look, sure, but also people are into what they're into, and that has an influence in it as well. So it's kind of self-serving, and sometimes it kind of wastes time, just like conservatives spend time on a lot of like bullshit issues that aren't really issues, like abortion's not going to affect a lot of people. It affects some people, but like maybe not spend all your time worrying about, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Or maybe not pigeonhole like Planned Parenthood into it being just about abortion.
Yeah, maybe not act like Planned Parenthood is a baby part factory. It's not like, let's chill out. Nuts. So I guess that's kind of the parallel I'm trying to draw. And I don't know if I'm drawing it very well, but that's kind of where I'm going, where it's like we're worrying about really bullshit issues, at least to me, and I could be wrong. Like, I'm just an idiot. So like, but
I don't know how many African American female craft brewers I happen to know zero, but
one of them won the same year that think piece was written by like some 23-year-old asshole in a dorm room somewhere. A black chick won the craft brewing like cup in North America or some shit like that. So
right on.
Come on, man. Like,
I'm not going to say that I am big on quoting anything, but I think the idea of those people are trying to get at is that if a black woman believes that there's no place for her in craft brewing because she's a black woman,
right?
The criteria that needs to be in place for her to feel welcome enough, or not necessarily welcome is not probably the right word, but
right.
But like she has the freedom or the capability to break her way into that, I think is the conditions that people are trying to create.
Like it's not like it's an exclusive kind of world. And I understand that, man. There's a lot of shit that's been like that for ages. Old fucking country clubs have been like that for a while. Like they didn't, excluded, everyone but old white men for like the longest time. I still go to country clubs and it's pretty much old white dudes a lot, But so and that's weird. That's kind of a weird place to be. It's really fun. I like going there and hanging out, playing golf, but like also you're just like, this room's full of old white dudes. It's a little weird. Just because I guess I'm younger, and so do you tend to look at that sometimes? Do you ever look around a room that you're in and be like, it's full of just this one type of person?
I could definitely see that in that sort of setting where it's like an old boys club, like by design, sort of. Yeah, I do think that's a little strange, but I guess there's a time and a place for that. Like if you went to a cigar bar or something, there's going to be dudes, with two fingers of scotch
typically
or whatever.
an old. I think that, and I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that.
No, I think that's, if it's built that way, that's fine. Yeah. That's who it's for, and that's who's paying the bills for that business.
Right.
That's their market.
Right. But, and also at the same time, I mean, sure, there, going back to what you're saying, I mean, also carve your niche out, too, at the same time. I mean, where's the balance between, okay, well, it's too exclusive, and where does it become too exclusive, and where is it just like, fucking make it happen? You know what I'm saying? Where does that start? Sincere question, like, at what point are you just like, well, fucking, I'm just going to be the first person to do this, and you just kind of, and that's how the environment is created. Like sometimes you have to sacrifice yourself to like
somebody's got to stop giving a shit and just break through.
Right. And just kind of do it. And I guess I see a lot of, I guess to me at least, and again, I may be wrong, but to me at least, it's I see a lot of like, this isn't welcoming enough and not enough of like, fuck it, I'm just going to do it anyway. Because I think a lot of people at the end of the day, if you're like, nah, man, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
People generally respect that, and they're just like, okay, well, you're going to do it, I was like, fucking just do it. Just get on with it.
That sounds like some stuff that Neil deGrasse Tyson would talk about, Like it wasn't, sciences are definitely a place where people can come out of nowhere and be like, look, I'm going to do this regardless. I don't care, and
that's what's so appealing about science too.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
It's definitely a meritocracy of ideas in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But like, how far would Jackie Robinson have gotten if he was just basically, instead of going out and playing baseball, he was just writing bullshit think pieces all day, talking about how racist the baseball world is. Yeah. Look, I know that's weird to say, but like, honestly, like, the dude had to somebody had to do it. I mean, somebody had to show all the old racist white assholes like why this was stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody had to go out and do it. And if he was writing editorials in his newspaper instead of actually going out and doing it, how far would that shit have gotten? How much would that have been delayed? So I think a lot of people just need to be shown, that something is possible that they hadn't thought of before. You know?
Oh yeah, that's big.
Eminem had to show that he could be a white rapper. It's just like he was like, hey, a white dude can rap too. And you're like, all right. I guess the Beastie Boys technically showed that first, but
yeah,
I don't know, man.
I think it's just a product of like the modern society of like talking about things and like trying to bring things to people's like greater attention.
Sure.
And I guess there's a time and a place for that. I think to people like you and me, it comes off a little bit obnoxious at a certain point when you're just like, okay, stop writing about this and just fucking do it,
just
or get somebody
it,
quit bitching about it.
I see in the local Austin music scene, I can rattle off a list of chicks that fucking kick ass. Like they rock harder than I do and will, and that's just what they do. And it seems to me that the chicks that are going out and just slaying on stage and like putting out really good records aren't the ones that are also writing blogs about like how fucking sexist the music scene is in Austin, And I don't know if somebody might hear that and get pissed off. I'm sorry, but like typically to me, what I see is the chicks out there going out and doing it aren't the ones writing about it.
Yeah.
Because they're too busy out there going and doing it and changing the environment around them.
I think what you're getting at is like the people that are going to be remembered the most are the ones that just produce their work, their art, and have their nose to the grindstone kind of constantly. And they don't have the people that are doing that and doing that well don't have time.
Yeah.
Because they're spending all of their time working.
That's not to say that they don't notice the bullshit inherent in what they're doing, because there always is going to be bullshit, right? Yeah. There's always going to be idiots that you have to go against, and they're going to be basing their judgments on you based on just completely
ridiculous, arbitrary,
superficial, arbitrary characteristics, and so you got to basically, you can't suffer fools. What's the saying that like, they don't suffer fools, or that person doesn't suffer fools? Is that I
don't know, but it sounds pretty clever. Yeah, I like it so far.
So, and I've heard people say of other people, he doesn't suffer a fool. Yeah, I think more people should just not suffer fools. And how much is...
I like that.
How much is somebody being a sexist or a misogynist or a racist, and how much of it is just they're a fucking idiot, And like, just what's wrong with calling people a fucking idiot and just having that being it?
Yeah. Honestly, I think that's a lot of what's wrong with the politics in this country. I know we keep coming back to fucking politics, huh?
Yeah.
But yeah, the country's just too fucking big. And the country's too fucking big.
Yeah.
And the disparity between your average uneducated person versus your average person, period, and then compare that to like your average very well educated person in this country, the divide is so big,
right, that
you're gonna have parts of this country or communities in this country that are just not people you're gonna be able to talk to.
Yeah.
And those are and once those people start getting, have enough of a following to get into places of power where they can pick, what ends up in our kids' textbooks and stuff, it's really fucking scary.
Where the problem is.
Yeah, and that's
Slumlords, man.
Yeah, Yeah.
Just the ultimate, like Donald Trump is the ultimate slumlord.
Yeah. So Donald Trump said something the other day about choosing somebody for office in a position, something about Secretary of Commerce or something like that. Like, why would I not pick somebody that's filthy rich? He's like, this is a position about money. Why would I not pick somebody? He said that? Yeah. Yeah.
Whoa.
It was like, well, okay, but maybe you should pick somebody who's really educated in it so they can make better decisions.
Well, that's not his criteria for any of his cabinet positions.
Having money doesn't necessarily mean they know anything about how to create, economic growth or, whatever else.
Right.
And he said, I wouldn't want somebody poor for this position.
Right.
Well, it's like, why wouldn't you just want the best person for the position? You know what I mean? There's a difference between, it's just that kind of thinking,
Yeah, yeah.
And when you have dumb people making decisions for large groups of people, it's a recipe for fucking disaster. You know what I mean?
I think too, man. Yeah, you got one guy making a position. It's unfortunate because I think there are a lot of good people that voted for Donald Trump and want to see good things happen to the country, but for whatever reason, they're just stuck on an autopilot of like, he's a Republican, so like, whatever, and somehow they got in a position where they can also make these influential decisions where they're picking people for positions that they're just like Ben Carson. What is Ben Carson doing?
Dude, that dude's an enigma wrapped in a fucking conundrum. Don't get me started on Ben Carson.
He's a surgeon, right?
He's a brain surgeon. Brilliant, actually.
Is he like very distinguished in the medical community as being?
Well, shit. I may not be the right person to ask about this, but as far as I know, he separated conjoined twins and was the first to do so, period. He's a neurosurgeon. Brilliant.
This is the first person to
as
separate
a doctor,
conjoined twins.
A brilliant doctor. Shit. But the thing is that, like, this is another thing this is great. We get to talk about religion now. Wonderful.
There we
go. So he's a complete fucking maniac, if you ask me. He may have been a brilliant doctor and he did some great work, but the stuff that he talks about is just absolutely ridiculous.
Pretty improbable.
It's absolutely
some
ridiculous.
Improbable things about the nature of our universe.
And that's one thing that I think is fascinating, is that you can the duality of humanity is you can be a fucking genius,
right,
in a certain context,
yeah,
and be a complete fucking idiot. Or maniac, rather, I think is probably more accurate in others, just because you've drank enough Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
And the political Kool-Aid that he's drank is ridiculous.
Also, you got to spend that much time being so good at one particular skill or trade that your operating system for other areas of your life,
you have massive deficits.
You just kind of have an autopilot OS for the rest of your life, maybe. I don't know. I'm just trying to
I think about this all the time, actually.
Yeah.
In working as a paramedic, I've found there's lots of people that are very, very good at a very small subset of things, whereas I think kind of the way I've lived my life, I've been a little bit of a jack of all trades type of person.
Sure.
And when you, as this type of person, seeing somebody who's far the other way, like, think about like just a brilliant mathematician or a brilliant scientist or something like that, or a brilliant artist.
Right.
People that are incredibly laser focused on one thing that have absolutely no people skills.
Right.
Like that's just this happens to people.
A lot.
Brilliant doctors, lawyers, whatever.
Musicians.
And they think
about some of the most brilliant, like John Mayer is fucking weird in person, I've heard. Like,
but at least he has some charm about him.
Yeah,
I think he's funny.
Yeah,
I think
at
least what I've seen on freaking.
I've heard
VH1
some stories.
stuff.
I've heard some stories. That dude's weird in the bedroom, man. Weird in the bedroom, like freaky in the not like kinky, but like he just does some weird.
Interesting. I haven't heard
eyes
this
wide
shut.
There. Mask party type shit in the bedroom.
Good for him.
But like not erotic. It's just like, well, this is kind of. Did you have a weird childhood, man? Like, what's going on? And so like it happens a lot. Like
I think about it kind of like an RPG. So like if you think back to, I don't know, whatever video games you may have played, where you get this kind of hexagonal sort of like grid where the further you get from the center, the stronger you are at that thing or whatever.
Yeah.
And just think about people that are what you might call like a genius at something. They're just way off the charts in one aspect, and invariably they have to be weaker in the others, right?
Right.
I mean,
because you only have so much, and it goes back to
there's
time.
a finite amount of time that
so you can
devote
only
to
spend so much time
improving.
building. Yeah, and it makes total sense.
Yeah, and some people just don't readily take to learning people skills.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's something that's pretty sad that not more people have in their wheelhouse.
Yeah. I'm really good at bass guitar. I'm not bad at bass guitar. Let's just say I don't suck at bass guitar.
Right.
Suck at doing laundry. I just don't know what colors to separate. I'm thankful my girlfriend loves me enough to do the laundry. Yeah.
Yeah, I just haven't spent enough time.
Not that good at dressing myself. I'm all right at dressing myself. Not that great, I could definitely be better.
I wish more people had been forced to spend a little more time learning to socialize with human beings.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that frustrates me.
It's weird that they don't have a social. I always thought when I got into like the first time. When's the first time you take a social studies class? Is that like junior high? But I always thought before I just remember as a kid about to go to social studies class. Like I saw it on my schedule, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool! I get a class about being social." That's not what it was. You just talked about the Alamo and stuff.
Yeah,
it was weird. You didn't get like a.
Yeah. I sent mail to Vermont and got cookies from Vermont. That's what I did in social studies class in 5th grade.
What the fuck is up with that subject? That's a weird subject. Because you also have a history class, right? What was that? Why? Yeah. So what was...
Dude.
What was that?
The way we were educated was there was a lot of quirks to it. Let's put it that way.
What is going to come from this, I think, and this is the optimist in me, but I'm hoping that from this conundrum that we find ourselves in politically, at some point the rational people are going to get together and be like, we probably need to majorly revamp our education system and just the approach, not the funding. Let's just freeze the fucking funding for a second, not worry about that. Let's just talk about our approach to educating young human minds and what the important things are with a developing brain. What should we be teaching in the public realm? What should we leave up to the kids, families? Hint, not a lot because there's a bunch of idiot parents. But maybe give a little more leeway to schools to teach like basic skills as far as like critical thinking. Like, why don't we have a critical thinking class in like junior high where it's like you're not promoting an ideology, you're just saying like this is how to discern facts, this is how to go out into the world and discern what are the common set of facts that we admit are true about the universe that we live in and what is not. And here's how to discern, here's how to maybe figure out if a conspiracy theory is right or wrong. Here's how to like maybe, like how to verify and instead of questioning news sources, verify and corroborate them.
Yeah.
Do that instead of saying like, well, maybe everything's wrong, because we have too many people now going like, well, fuck all politicians. Nah, man. Like some of them are all right. Like you can admit that you're not edgy or cool because like you hate all politicians. Like use some critical thinking and try to discern who is, because sure, all politicians play a game at some level. They're all playing a game because that's the nature of fucking human beings, is to like get ahead of each other. And so everyone in every fucking job that you've ever worked is playing a game to get ahead. So like, let's not act like politicians are the only ones that are doing that shit, right? And figure out who the ones are that maybe at the end of the day still kind of want to make society better for people. Let's try to figure that out instead of being like, fuck all politicians. No, man, fuck you. Because you're just adding convolution to the whole situation. You're not helping clarity of thought at all. You're just clouding the waters, muddying the waters. We're not getting anything done from that. So maybe teach kids how to critically think.
I think that's going to be massively important, especially because now so much of what fact is cloudy, like you just said,
That's a problem.
And that's going to get worse and worse and
worse.
That's
a major problem. That is a major problem. Yeah. And that needs to be taken care of at some point. Yeah. Like we should all be able to come together and be like, listen, we need to call bullshit on a lot of stuff. Yeah. Right. And it's not political. It's just like, this is true. This is false. Yeah.
That's where I think a good science education is absolutely critical, because that's what science is.
Right.
And and there's a difference between being skeptical and being like a naysayer. You know what I mean? Being skeptical means to look at something and question the validity of the sourcing, you know, and make sure that those things are credible and vet it, basically.
Right.
And that sort of thinking getting cut, you know, from how we educate our kids is pretty fucking scary.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, thinking about kids in the modern day and age is really fucking frightening, isn't it?
Yeah. It's pretty weird, man.
If you don't educate your own kids, what the fuck are they learning?
Yeah.
That's frightening.
Yeah, what are they learning? I mean, I think a lot of education is self-education. A lot of kids, when they're 3 years old, my little nephews I think my youngest nephew is 3, maybe. He's like 2 or 3. Definitely already using tablets and shit like that.
Oh, yeah.
He's barely walking, and and so kids are using this stuff at a younger and younger age, you know. It maybe a lot of it is self-education, but at the same time, if that's the case, then that makes it more imperative to have some sort of critical thinking skills programmed at some age that's like earlier than because I'll tell you right now, I never had one. Had I gone to college after high school, after high school, like a university, I would have had one by proxy just because of having to go to all these classes. And that's kind of what they instill with you in such a way through college. But I didn't do that. I went to junior college, and I flunked out of junior college. Or I didn't flunk out, but I just stopped going because I didn't know what the fuck I was going for. And so, and so I just wasn't ready to learn. And so you can't just assume kids are going to want to go to college, because a lot of them, they're not ready to go to college after they graduate high school.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready. I'm barely ready now. I'm ready now. I'd love to go back to school at some point, but I'm 32 years old. So it's like, it took me, 14 years to want to go, learn at some sort of expanded capacity. And it took me that long to gather some sort of like
understanding of who you want to be.
Yeah.
And how to get there.
And how to like critically think and break down ideas and data and kind of discern in the world, like, oh, that's true, that's bullshit, just based on, what I know. So, program that into kids earlier. And there's nothing wrong with saying program, because you're a computer. You're like a blank computer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing too is that back in the day, like my mom and her sisters, before going to college, everybody took like a year off and traveled the world and stuff. Like that was a common thing. If you had the capability of doing that, like they were lucky enough to be part of a family that could afford to do that. And the reason was to like get some real travel the world, see the world. That will fucking open your eyes very quickly to what's going on around you.
Yeah, travel.
And take enough time, hopefully, to find out what makes you happy and what you want to pursue. Because I feel like my college experience was exactly like that. I had very little. I knew the sort of work that I wanted to do, and really was not ready to like have the drive to go about pursuing it strongly enough to make it happen, because that's not what I wanted to do.
Right.
Because I was fucking 18 years
Travel,
old.
yeah. Travel when you're younger. I'm trying to get out. Me and my girl are trying to get out to somewhere across the pond this fall, winter, whatever, when the travel rates go down. And it's just like, do it now. Like, why do so many people wait till they're 70 to, like by then your perspective's already set, and you think you know everything about the world, but you've only lived in the same state.
Yeah.
It's like, why? That seems ass backwards to me.
Yeah. And some people don't really want to like learn from seeing the way other people do things. And I think the amount of perspective you gain from seeing the way that poor people live, or like just people from a different background than you. And that's one thing that I think was really great about the paramedic job, is like walking into people's houses that live very differently.
Very differently. Yeah.
Very differently. Fucking opens your eyes really quickly. Really quickly.
Yeah.
No wonder people do things, make weird ass decisions, because they've come from different places. You know what I mean?
I think it's extremely healthy to gather as much information about the different places people come from as early as possible in your life. Because if you're able to see that not everybody comes from your corner.
Yeah.
Not only are you able to empathize a lot more, but you're also able to just understand that not everybody is going to come to the same answer that you are, and not everybody is going to have the same pattern of thought. They just don't have the same pattern of thought. And when you understand that people don't think the same way you do, it goes back to the empathy thing, but you get a lot less angry at people.
Yes.
Because you kind of...
Big time.
I guess, yeah, it ultimately all does play into empathy, but if you're able to empathize, then you're able to be like, look, man, I'm not that guy. And so the way he's seeing it, maybe, he's just seeing it from a different angle.
Yeah,
and,
it takes out a lot of judgment, too. Seeing where somebody comes from may help you understand like why they've chosen certain things, and they may be going on a different path towards a different ending destination, and it makes it a lot easier to pull yourself away from your like inherent judgment of other people.
Yeah.
And I think just being exposed to lots of different just types of people has, it's not about my view of them.
Yeah.
It's just about, letting them do their own thing. And
I think when
it's not my place to tell them.
Yeah. Live free and let others do the same.
Yeah.
Live and let live. I think it's...
Yeah, even the religious ones. Let them do their thing too.
Yeah. I had to test myself that today when I was in a room of evangelicals and they were trying to pray over me. And I was like, oh, man. Oh, and I wanted to be like, oh, and I had to do the Jerry Seinfeld with Kesha. It's like, no, thanks. Wish you the best, but no thanks. No thanks. And so instead of just being like, get away from, which is your reflex because you're just like, oh, don't, no. And so it's, I get tested with that too, man, all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
As much as I try to be completely free from judgment, when types of people that tend to be rather judgmental, like pretty fundamentalist religious types, I have this kind of visceral reaction to that,
Yeah, I do too, man.
And you just have to kind of be like,
and then you're like, oh,
it's not my place to tell them what they're doing.
It's that's a weird place to be in.
Yeah,
man. I think
just let people do their thing, man. As long as they're not hurting anybody.
That approach just helps you to just have more fun too. I mean, you just have more fun if you're not worried about how other people are living their lives, man. I just don't have time. I don't have time to care about gay marriage. I just don't have time. You know what? I mean, like, I just don't have time to care about who's marrying who. Like, what are you going to do? What is it going to do to kids? I don't know, man. Just fucking talk to your kids. Some people like gay. Some people like other people of the same gender. A 5-year-old's just going to be like, okay, cool.
Yep.
That's it.
Like, they're just going to learn that lesson way earlier.
Yeah. They're not just going to be like, okay, well, I think I'm gay now. I don't think that's how that works,
I highly doubt that.
Just talk to your fucking kids, and it's not that hard. Why are you so scared of it, man? And just stuff like that, where it's just like, at the end of the day, if you're being honest, none of us have time to worry about that shit. But somehow we've been coerced into worrying about that stuff. Somehow
people like, there's certain types of people that like to be controlled by fear.
Yeah.
That's a really odd one for me too. I don't really understand that either.
I understand it. I mean, I grew up in a church for 20 years, so I absolutely understand it. I understand where that comes from.
But do you feel like that organization is controlling people with fear?
I think ultimately, yeah. I mean, if you're
not
part
like
of
guilt or shame or some kind of,
it's the whole,
some like
it's in
ghostly figure of,
it's in the same
evil.
Wrapper. It's all in the same box. I mean, you're trying, the whole crux of the entire practice in spirituality of that nature is you're trying to avoid ending up in place B when you die. And so you want to make it to destination A and not destination B, right? And if you live your life by this set of tenets, you'll avoid destination B. And you don't want to go to destination B. Where is destination B? It's everything that you're scared of. It's your worst fears. I had a preacher once say that, like, what are you scared of? Are you scared of spiders? You're going to be crawling in spiders for your eternity, stuff like that. And so... yeah, man, it's absolutely fear-based. I think it's all fear-based. And I think, it definitely yeah, man, not to go off on a tangent, I guess I already kind of am, but
Yeah,
if you're
cool.
raised in that for the first 20 years, it's hard to get out of that mindset where, you know, everything you do is kind of controlled by your fear of the outcome. And it kind of permeates everything that you think about. I think a lot of my time as a young adult was kind of pre-programming or reprogramming myself, and still is in some ways, to not be scared of everything. I think what that does is it teaches you to be scared of the world, quite literally, because like there are verses that tell you not to be of the world, tell you to be of God, you know, of the Holy Spirit. And so you're not even supposed to be here mentally. Like, if you break it down, you're not supposed to be in the present, really. I mean, it's you're always thinking about where you go when you die, and that's always in the back of your head. That's not healthy.
Yeah, that sounds
It's
terrible.
it's not a way to function, in my opinion, in my very humble opinion.
Yeah.
That
is very far removed from how I choose to see the world.
Yeah.
How old were you when you started to kind of question
late
that?
teens?
Okay.
Late teens, yeah. Late teens. Yeah, man. And as you get older, you see the complexity of it all, because within that whole ecosystem, there's a whole bastion of love and kindness. And to be completely 100% fair, everybody that I grew up around was like very loving,
Yeah.
and very kind. And to this day, they're some of the best people I've ever met. But at the same time, it's within a belief structure that is all based on fear at the end of the day. And so, yeah, there was a lot of love, but the time, like when I started to recognize that love existed outside of that, was when I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, well, how?
It's way cooler. It's way cooler than that.
And it's like, well, maybe this isn't the end all be all. It's kind of like when Truman got to the wall of the Truman Show. He's like, there's a door. I guess I'm just gonna walk through this door, man, because there's like another, you know. And so, yeah, it's a big ride, and that was just my path, man. Some people might say that, you know, their truth is within that, and that's fine. You believe what you want to believe, as long as you're not forcing it on me at the end of the day. But like,
Yeah.
honestly, because I think a lot of people use that to be really good people, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. You know,
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of people in the world who use religion but it's just, you know, for very, very noble purposes. But man, they couldn't be my truth. And I don't think you should hold that truth to everyone. I think it should kind of end at the tip of your nose, because the minute you start to force it on people, especially from birth, like, and that person isn't what you're trying to force on them, you can fuck some people up really badly, because they have to struggle with that for the rest of their lives, you know, and they're struggling with something that they necessarily shouldn't have to struggle with their whole life. You shouldn't have to worry about, you know,
the ugly thing you planted in them.
you know, and so it's quite literally a boogeyman that you're thinking about all the time,
that you implanted in their head.
It's, man, look, I mean, you're raising a kid to try to be a good person.
Yeah.
But also, you could say that about a lot of, you know, it's kind of brainwashing in a way. You're not giving a kid the freedom to kind of believe what they want to believe, you know?
Yeah.
So it's weird, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I've
deep serious
dives
takes on the No Pants,
into-
but we've gone way deep here on the 4 episodes in. This is officially the deepest we've ever gone.
Yeah.
So we're at James Cameron depth right now.
I'll add to that just simply that, yeah, I was raised in a religious setting too, and I had pretty early on, I was like 12 and 13 when I started to say, like, this doesn't really make all that much sense.
Yeah.
And I was like, why don't people just want to make, you know, themselves and other people's lives better? And that's kind of the basics of how I see things. You know, it's really not that difficult.
No.
To do your best to be happy and make other people's lives better.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot, I grew up Catholic, and that's a lot of what the good parts of the Bible sound like too.
Yeah.
You know, once you cut through all the ridiculous, what the fuck kind of stuff.
Maybe a lot of the Bible wasn't meant to be carried over into modern times. I mean, maybe, you know, maybe.
It's like, hey, maybe this shit that happened, that was written fucking forever ago by people on drugs, doesn't really have a place in the modern world.
Yeah. Maybe everything that Jesus taught is good enough, because really he's just like a chill hippie.
And
if you think like he really is just kind of like a chill hippie, he's like, love everybody, help out poor people.
Didn't one of the founding fathers have a version of his own version?
Jefferson did.
Okay, the Jefferson.
He cut out all the bullshit.
The Jefferson Bible, he took up all the bullshit, right, and just kept the stuff that it didn't really have any of the magical kind of crap to it. It was just the like treat people well stuff.
Yeah.
And because in his day and age, it wasn't okay to say, I don't really believe this stuff.
Yeah. He's just like, well,
he's just like, I'll
version.
just cut out all the stuff I don't really dig, and that's a little magical, little like whatever, a little over the top, and I'll just keep the stuff that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey. My cat is on a pile of clothes right now. Hold on. Get back. Hey, she's just staring at me. Interruptions. Cat interruptions.
She's
here.
not impressed.
Here, I'm gonna go get my cat real quick. You can keep talking. Hold on. You get back here. Hey.
Yeah, I think it's pretty simple to just try and live our lives in a way that makes other people's lives better. Why is that so difficult? Does that need to be so difficult? The other thing too is just the inherent judgment of a lot of religion. Really, just like, it's not okay for me to be telling other people how to live their lives.
Yeah.
And I feel like, how did I know this was going to come to religion and politics?
I don't know. Typically it does whenever we hang out.
That's usually where we go, huh? It's music, religion, and politics, and film, cinematic adventures.
Yeah. I don't know.
Just make people's lives better, man.
I don't want to go on an anti-religion tirade.
I wouldn't say that
But, I don't know. I saw it a lot today. I was around a lot of there's a Christian conference downtown, and they all came into my workplace today. They were all pretty nice. They're all pretty good people. Not that I'm the final arbiter of what good is. I'm not trying to be.
Hopefully not.
But from what I could gather, pretty cool people, and, personally, I don't know how it's possible to have any sort of like overarching superstition in your life and also like have the internet. Does that make sense? Maybe I'm oversimplifying it.
There's just, they have to create different versions of the truth for themselves.
Yeah. To me, it all seems pretty improbable about just the nature of the universe. Again, I'm not the final arbiter on what the nature is, but we know some shit. It's like we know
that's
some
Carl
stuff.
Sagan's place, or Neil deGrasse
and so, man, I just kind of, I don't know, man. I think one day I just kind of thought my way out of it. I was like, well, just doesn't make much sense to me, man. It just doesn't. And I think I'm good. Kind of.
Luckily, you have that inquisitive sort of.
Yeah.
You've been mulling it over for a while in your head, and some people don't want to do that.
Sam Harris had a really good point once, and I forgot where he was at. I think he was debating a religious scholar. He might have been like a Orthodox Jewish religious scholar at a pretty big university, but one of his points in so many words was, if we wanted to, we could, minus the beautiful poetry and whatnot that you find in like a lot of the like Psalms and stuff like that, which I had to read through the New Testament in my adolescence, and I can tell you that Song of Solomon and like all of these books, it's literally some of the most beautiful prose you'll ever read in your entire life. It's just like beautiful, poetic, paints a picture with so many words and stuff. And minus that, I mean, as far as the ethics are concerned, we could sit in this room and come up with a better Bible in like 10 minutes, right? Without the rampant
beating of
murder
women
and like beating of women and stuff like that.
Sacrificing children.
Right. And so, that kind of rung a bell with me. I was like, wow, kind of, and that, I guess that's kind of where I went with it when I was younger. I was like,
Doesn't add up.
Doesn't add up. No, sir.
Really
I don't know. Yeah. Not a lot of strung together thoughts there. It's just all pretty.
It's like it was written by a bunch of different people over
almost like
of years,
it was,
and they were probably all under the influence of different things. That's probably the subject matter of of another No Pants podcast.
Yeah, written decades after, maybe the last, eyewitness version of Christ or whatever. I don't know, man. It's interesting. I've read that there are books that were left out of the canon that talk about him being married and having kids. And,
oh yeah, there's all kinds of different shit.
If so, why was that left out? Because that might be pretty pertinent. Also, there's not a lot of evidence as far as historical evidence talking about.
I'm pretty big on evidence.
The existence of Christ himself. Not saying he didn't exist, but there's not a lot of stuff that says he is who he says he was. Maybe somebody.
I feel like we should go to YouTube and just
look up Jesus. So yeah, man. It is what it is, man. And I hate saying that. That said, that's a trite phrase.
It's not on me to tell people what to do with their lives, but as long as they're doing good for others, that's kind of my one criteria.
How did Donald Trump co-opt the evangelicals, man? Like, he's a shitbag. He was still.
I think it had to do with the lizard Illuminati.
Yeah. He brags about. He's so rich that he brags about his money. I'm like, man, so much for that. Through the eye of a needle, through the eye of a needle thing. Did that kind of just go out the window with Donald Trump?
Well,
or?
They just selectively choose not to listen to that part.
Yeah,
that's them.
Bernie Sanders is like, we should help everyone, and Christians are like, fuck that guy. We're like, wait. I don't know.
How many mischaracterizations of the Bible do you think we've made to this point?
I don't know.
We need like what was the stats guy on PTI?
Guy. Yeah.
There's
my parents definitely aren't listening to this. There's one. Since they're not listening to this, there's definitely, I don't know, I guess 1-2 religious people listening to this. I'd like to give a shout out to
the people that have continued to listen to this point.
I'd like to give a shout out to Trent McInerney from Newark, New Jersey. Trenton. Yeah. Trent is a very religious person. I'd also like to give a shout out to Sharon McCombs from Syracuse, New York. Also listen. I just made those names up. I don't know. I think I should start doing. I did that last episode. I think I should start doing just
shout outs to non-existent people.
Yeah, like if you're in the middle of a sentence, just be like, okay, well, hold on. We're
gonna take a tweet from Sharon McInerney here.
But I should go. I should go diverse with it. I'd be like, well, let me give a shout out to.
There's a quote of
Kim Pho Pak.
There's a quote of black lesbian beer connoisseurs that need to be represented in your tweet.
Dude, I would totally listen to a band. I wish there was a band that was like nothing but black lesbians. Like a rock band, like a straight up like a AC/DC, like a like a hard drive-in, just like.
What might their name be? Their band name?
Black Pussy is already taken. That's actually a band called Black Pussy.
I think that's a little on the nose, no?
I know, yeah, it is on the nose for those guys.
Might be something a little more tongue-in-cheek.
Tongue-in-cheek? I don't know. What would their name be?
Dude, I'm struggling right now. I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
I think you're definitely the better of the two of us to come up with that.
Call them the Sharons. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe Sharon McInerney can come up with a good...
Sharon McInerney. Kim Pho Pak from Sacramento, California. I'd like to give a shout out to Seth Darlington from Seattle, Washington. I'd like to give a shout out to Fred Armisen, the Fred Armisen, and he lives in I'm going to say he lives in Portland. So Portland, Fred Armisen from Portland. Not the comedian, is his dad actually lives in Portland. So Fred Sr.
Fred Armisen Sr.
Joey Diaz. Do you listen to Joey Diaz's podcast?
Mm-mm.
Joey Diaz will stop his guests mid-sentence to give shout-outs to just dudes that he used to know. So he'll be like, Hold on there, dog. I gotta give a shout out to Marco Ramirez from New Jersey. My boy Marco Ramirez. I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? He was a straight mobster, though. Like, are you big on Joey Diaz, man? Have you gotten into Joey Diaz yet?
Negative.
Joey Diaz is a prolific stand-up comedian. Is big in the comedy store scene in LA. Tours nationally, touring. He's got specials on CISO and all that stuff. He was also a drug dealer for like 20 years, and also like a part-time hitman. Like, he didn't kill people, but like he kidnapped people for hire. Went to prison in the 90s, got out, started a stand-up comedy career, dude. And like, so he's totally reformed. Like, he's, did his time, came out, and was like, he's just one of the funniest comedians. He'll take out.
I've heard that clip. That cracked me up.
Yeah.
That was funny.
That guy's insane in the best way possible.
He's like in his 60s, right?
He's old, man.
Yeah.
A lot of stand-up comedians don't hit their stride till, like, say they start. He actually started when he was 32, so he was my age when he started. And now he's just like 50-something, maybe 60-something. He's had a good career, though, for like 10 to 15 years. You kind of just have to do it. If you got, man, it's very possible. I like the appeal of stand-up because it's just you. We've been in the same band at one point, right? And we've been in bands where, it's, you try to write a song with a group of dudes in one room, and it's like, there's some point, regardless how well the writing process is going, where, you're just like,
it's five times more complex, or even more than 5 times. It's like to the 5th power more complex than doing it by yourself.
Yeah, it's just not. It's not the funnest process ever. And plus, you gotta, I don't know, that whole process becomes less and less appealing to me as I get older for some reason. And the band I'm in now, Otis the Destroyer, go listen to us. We have a record coming out this fall, and the band I'm in now, it's the process is, I'm still in the Warplanes. Let's say that I'm also still in the Warplanes, but the Otis the Destroyer that's a nice process because it's a guy bringing pretty much finished songs.
Yeah, and it comes from fewer starting points.
Yeah, and it's like add your accoutrement.
Yeah, it's a simpler process.
Yeah, and so I think in a lot of ways that's how it should go. I think it's really difficult to just be like, you got an idea? Sure, let's work on, and it's like, yeah, how quick. To me, a song loses its magic if it's mulled over too much and it's chewed too much. Like, if you chew a piece of food, you can chew the taste out of it, And I think the same thing can happen to songs too. And so, going back to what I was saying, the stand-up is really appealing because it's just like you. And it's like, you're the only one up there, and you have to. I don't know. Let's be clear. I don't do stand up yet. I don't know. I might. I might want to get on that at some point. I've always wanted to do it, but the appeal is there because it's like you answer to you, and your feedback is immediate in the audience. Either people laugh or they don't, and so where you're going wrong, and you can fix it yourself, and you don't have to like run it by. There's
not this massive editing process that has a bunch of different minds from different places.
But yeah, you go from starting to finishing an idea, fleshing it out a lot quicker, unless you're in a very efficient band, which is,
I think that's an extant thing.
Yeah.
Efficient bands.
Yep.
Yeah, there's something to be said for instant feedback, especially in an artistic context where, it's a live art, which is pretty unique, honestly, Yeah. And the ability to improve something when you have instant feedback, that's kind of the reason people improve at anything. Feedback is what creates improvement, and when it's instantaneous, it's a pretty strong motivator when you drop a joke and nothing comes back.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? Like that'll change your process.
Yeah.
Very quickly.
Very quickly. And it's a lot of times, man, and if you listen to stand-up comedians on their podcast talking about how they do it, they're just like, sometimes I won't even change the wording or the syntax. I'll just change my tone, and it'll 180 to where it's just like it completely comes off. the way it should. And I'm like, holy fucking shit, that's fascinating.
It's like scientific method stuff. You just change one variable at a time and see how it affects things. You know, it's the same sort of experimental design that scientists would use. Taking
people on a ride. It's the same. I think it's the same way a lot of the most successful actors, like deeply successful actors, the ones that are kind of like they stay in your psyche, like Tom Hanks and the
Daniel Day-Lewis's,
the Daniel Day-Lewis's, and the Hopkins. The Hopkins and the Johnny Depps are able to get, because they not only do they get into your head, but they let you into theirs, right? So like Daniel Day-Lewis lets you in. You know, when you watch him be Bill the Butcher.
Whoopsie daisy.
He's not hiding anything, right? Yeah, it's like he's him, and he's not guarding you. He's not guarding himself from you, right? When Tom Hanks plays the dude on an island, and he's given that speech at the end, and he's like, "Tomorrow the sun will rise." He's got a fucking tear rolling down his face, and you've got a tear rolling down your face. He's letting you in to that person, right? He's letting you in to be like, come along, and so. Yeah, that's the cool thing about stand-up, too, is you're, like, basically taking a room of people, and you're like, dude, let's go on this fucking
journey into my head.
Yeah, and that's fucking weird, man. That's scary, too. It's frightening.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Biggest respect for stand-up comedians, man, because...
Yeah, that's pretty incredible.
Holy shit.
Did you introduce me to that Patrice O'Neill thing? It was, like, the craziest story ever told on radio.
No, you show me. I knew about Patrice, but you show me that thing that one night, the Patrice story.
You ought to put a link to that in your thing. I think that's a really freaking great example of... That's just a guy telling a story.
God, he was amazing at telling stories.
Yeah.
He was so good.
Yeah, there's something... I find as I get older that storytelling is an incredible thing. Yeah. I just think it's wonderful. And that's why I'm so into film and TV shows and stuff. It's just... The way people tell stories fascinates me, and there's so many different ways to do it. And that clip, it's like a 40-minute clip of him talking about just a crazy life experience.
Right.
And just the way he tells the story is so captivating. It's unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. And he does it from a way that's like a lot of the bits his tirades are his bits were tirades, right? And a lot of the ways he would say them, you're like, dude, he knows he's being an asshole, but he's like trying to rationalize it. And he's like that one bit he's got where he's like, I think it's the best if like the girl is in love, but the guy is like in like, And he's like, he knows he's in the wrong, like he knows he's being an asshole, but like you fucking root for him. You're just like, yeah. So,
yeah.
And the girl's like, hey, I want to be a girlfriend. He's like, that position's not open. He's like, well, what position is open? It's like, well, I come over to your place at 2:30 a.m. and you suck my dick and I drink your last Snapple. That's the one that's open. It's like, what?
Yeah.
But that's like, so great. You can't help but fucking love him, man. Dude, man, he was diabetic as shit, dude.
He was a big guy.
He inspires me to eat salads. I love that dude, but I should eat a salad every time I look at Patrice O'Neill. I'm like, I should eat more salads. Definitely eat more salads. I wish he was still around. I wish he was not dead. Man, a lot of those. I'm surprised Artie Lang is still around. Like, he's still alive. That blows my mind. It literally blows my mind. Like, that dude looks like he lives on cheeseburgers and cocaine. No. He does.
Well,
okay, like he would probably. Yeah. Did you see him? Like, he looks better now. He actually looks a lot better now. But like 10 years ago, like he looked rough, dude. Like really rough. I'm like, dude, that dude lives it up.
Yeah, drugs will change your stuff very quickly.
Open up a double quarter pounder, just sprinkle an 8-ball in it. Could you eat cocaine with a cheeseburger and it would have the same effect?
No.
You can't eat cocaine and
you can, but your stomach's going to tear up most of it.
Ooh.
The acid in your stomach.
It's not going to metabolize the same way.
No, but if some of it got into like your cheek and your gum, you know how you see it in the movies. People will like you can absorb
That's-
some of it that way. So you might get an itty bitty little bit.
Gotcha.
But you're gonna waste a lot of cocaine.
Gotcha.
Don't
Don't do that.
recommend
We do not officially endorse cocaine cheeseburgers.
I don't recommend cocaine or wasting it either.
On the No Pants podcast. Matt Germeyer, we've done this for an hour and 40 minutes. It's time to wrap it up.
Jesus Christ.
I know. It flies.
I mean, it keeps coming back to Jesus.
We'll keep Jesus out of it on the next one, people. I promise. We're just
Glad we got to talk about Patrice.
We're just pontificating, okay? If you're religious, you're listening to us. I love you. Don't hate us, okay?
Definitely don't
or maybe
hate us.
whatever. I mean, if
We
you want
won't
to hate us
you.
and then spread my podcast on the internet to tell other people how evil I am, that's fine with me, because like that means more hits for me, and we all know I need more hits on this podcast, so that's cool.
More link juice.
All right, man. You
Thanks for having me.
You can't hear it right now, but I'm playing us out with a Warplanes song.
Sweet.
Which one should we do?
Something I'm on.
Well, yeah, we're gonna go with something that you're on. Matt Germeyer was on the Warplanes EP at Genesis.
Thanks for having me, dog.
We're gonna have to do another musical project sometime.
In my mind, it happens all the time. I don't know why. You're just a shadow of light. And I've been thinking of you nearly my whole life. I saw you once, but I was sleeping at the time. Oh my. I don't even care right now.
Hey, everybody. Thanks again for listening to the No Pants Podcast. Hope you enjoyed yourself. If you're on YouTube, give us a subscription, give us a like, say hello, say you hate me and you want me to die. I really don't care, but let us know that you're there. If you're on SoundCloud, Facebook, follow the page, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. We're going to be on iTunes. We're going to be on Stitcher soon, so I'm really excited about that. In the meantime, give us some feedback. Let us know you're out there, and we'll keep the episode train running. And until next time, see you later, babes. Bye.